morning.
Good morning.
Just as I expected, standing room only. That's what I thought. Well, good morning. Without a doubt, we are facing a wave of technology-enabled processes and innovations that are completely reshaping the way property is bought, sold, leased, financed, designed, managed, and sold. I mean, this is dirt to disposition. And this panel today is going to we're going to dive deep into part of that, which of course is virtual twins and how to employ it with real estate and in the metaverse. So this is going to be pretty exciting. I have two very special panelists here with me. First of all, my name is John Markunas. I have a little company called Power of Chain Consultancy, LLC, and we provide consulting and advisory services to startups who are in the blockchain and real estate space. But better than that, I'm a member of a group called, an association called FIBREE, F-I-B-R-E-E. That we should have a logo up there, but it is, yes, there's a logo, and it is the Foundation for International Blockchain and Real Estate Expertise, which is a mouthful, but we're a nonprofit based in the Netherlands. It's the only association on the planet, in the galaxy, dedicated to blockchain and real estate. We have chapters all over the world. It's a networking group. And back in August, we signed an MOU, an agreement with VRARA, and we are now a strategic partner, and we'll be doing more of these events, Immerse Global Summits. And in fact, we were in Madeira, Portugal, back in August doing the same thing. So we're very excited about that. My two guests, on my left, far left, is Alexander Kanen, Esquire. He is the founder and managing partner of Kanen Law Firm. And better than that, he is an internationally recognized authority and legal expert with over 20 years of experience, of legal and business experience in real estate, private equity, and the blockchain. I know that because he told me. So he regularly advises on Web3 companies, institutional and private equity clients, on digital asset transactions, and asset-backed digital security issuances. Now, and there's more, but we don't have time right now to get into that. To my immediate left is Matthieu, who is in from Paris. He's a jet setter between Paris and Miami now, and he is the co-founder and CEO of Magma, which is the company that we're going to be exploring digital twins with. And it is, in fact, a startup. It is a real estate digital and virtual twin platform. One of the most comprehensive platforms for real estate digital twins that I've seen so far. So this is going to be fun. So our goal here for you, our goal is to open a door to let you in so that you can begin to explore this space with confidence, with a great deal of confidence and clarity and transparency, and with a mental map of the contours of digital twins, virtual twins for real estate. So Joel, if you would hit the video, please. The Magma video.
Hello, my name is Matthieu Markunas, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Magma, a Web3 platform that is going to transform real estate. In this video, I am going to explain to you how to use the Magma platform to create your own Magma NFT, the unique representation of your building, shared with stakeholders through dedicated interfaces and applications. Enjoy. To create your Magma NFT, you need your architectural documents in a digital format and the contractual documentation of the elements of the building. They will be sent to the blockchain to create a non-fungible token, a unique asset containing all this information. We divided the NFT in 5 index layers. each one corresponding to elements of the building and stakeholders responsible for uploading and validating the documents. Let's start at the level 0, the Genesis level, which is the birth of your digital building. This digital asset is unique and inseparable from the real building. At this stage, you need the two-dimensional layouts, the contractual documentation proving the existence, the ownership, the conformity, and the insurance of the building. At this stage, the notary, the architect, the asset manager, and the owner are uploading and validating the data. Your Magma is born. You created value, and your contributors can receive a part of it. Next, level 1 is the structure, which contains all the elements contributing to the stability of the building, such as supporting walls and foundations. This level starts the three-dimensional modeling and contains also all the contractual documentation validated by stakeholders. Next, level 2, the wired level, contains all the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fluids, internet, and waste management components of the building. It's the same idea. Stakeholders upload their 3D models and contractual documentation and create the value in the NFT. Level 3 is the covered level, including elements of thermic isolation such as roof, flooring, windows. Finally, the level 4 field includes all the equipments, ornaments, interior design, such as kitchens, bathrooms, and other elements. The Magma index gives an idea of the level of digitization of the building and the residual potential value of the NFT. You can now use your digital twin to make immersive experiences and automated contracts in the blockchain.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was the virtual Matthieu. We have the real one here now. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot said in that video, which I think is great. Maybe in your own words, describe what type of platform Magma is in general,
Yeah.
which we saw many of the elements. And I'd like you to go back into those layers, because that's what keeps this platform, I think, going on into the future. And then perhaps talk about a little bit about the technology you're using.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, for the audience, from my point of view, I see this whole virtual real estate twin, virtual twin, reaching way out there to do a lot of different things. And so take it away,
Yep.
Matthieu.
So Magma is a multi-stakeholder platform that allows the stakeholder of a building, that are the owner of the building, the service providers, the tenants, the asset manager, property manager, to create together a digital asset that we call the digital twin token. It's the digital representation of the building, and it's composed of a blockchain layer that records information, contractual information about the elements of the building. And it's also composed of a three-dimensional layer that is the digital twin model of the building. So you have a three-dimensional representation, and behind that, a blockchain that records all the information. And participants are rewarded to upload information in the model. So let's say I'm a contractor in a building. Instead of sending my contract documents by email to the property manager, I will upload the document in the platform, get a reward for it, and this information is going to be uploaded into the digital twin model. That way someone that is going to look at the digital twin can click on any item of the building and see information.
But I just want to make it clear. Now, you're talking about a utility token for providers of the data. They will be rewarded with a utility token?
Yes.
Okay. So that's where it gets back to the question is, the data that's being offered into the platform by different stakeholders, you know, the question is, what is their what do they get? Why would they bother doing that?
Yeah. So a participant can upload any kind of information, any kind of document. So it can be pictures, video, PDF documents, augmented reality, virtual reality, and they are rewarded with the relevance of the information. So depending on the importance of the information, does it make savings for the building? We have an index per level, as you saw in the video, and the index is going to measure a key performance index, like indicator, like energy performance. Does it allow to lower the energy consumption of the building? Does it lower operating costs? Is the information useful for another party to perform a contract? And that's where you can automate contracts. If I have an information that is provided by another provider, I can make a business decision. So that's the relevance of the information.
Now you're talking about smart contracts.
Yes.
Now, Alex, smart contracts, law, regulation, compliance, as we talk about this, and we're going to get into the NFT part, which is really cool. Any thoughts on where this platform or others like this will encounter turbulence or obstacles, challenges, or is it clear sailing to do all these things?
So while I consider myself a believer, and I compliment Matthieu because there's a real importance to platforms like this as far as introducing the public to the notion of blockchain, as far as introducing ways in which we can remove friction and inefficiencies from the real estate process, starting from lack of information in general as far as commercial real estate is concerned, all the way down to removing friction out of underwriting processes, out of due diligence. So these are the things that I think are very important. So I commend you on leading the way in thought. As far as smart contracts are concerned, while it is considered one of the fundamental characteristics of a distributed ledger like Ethereum, smart contracts themselves, I like to say smart contracts are not that smart and they're not contracts. Smart contracts, the computer code is created by programmers. There's an entire industry growing today that's auditing smart contracts. But in effect, smart contracts are if-then functions. These are task-based functions which execute a particular task upon a completion of a particular condition precedent. So in a way, while smart contracts have transformative qualities as far as commercial real estate is concerned, it's really automation. So I feel like smart contracts are a part of a much bigger picture, and it comes down to automating things like programmable ownership. This goes directly to your point about regulation. In order for us to actually make much of what we're talking about today real and have it a place in our real world, it needs to comply with an entire world of regulations and the entire world of legal, social, and political overtones.
Yeah. Matthieu, curious, in terms of your deployment, what geographical regions are you looking at to deploy in your next phase, your beta phase? So
the building information modeling, as we call it, BIM, is an international standard. So there are initiatives in Europe, in Asia and the US to sort of standardize the models. And there is an international standard that is called Building Information Modeling that uses a standard called IFC, which we use. So we are targeting first Europe and the US simultaneously, because as you know, we are from Miami and from Paris at the same time, so we are targeting both.
Quick question, which city do you like better, Paris or Miami?
What can I say? Miami.
Right answer.
Well, in fact, Alex is a new Florida recruit who moved down recently with his family to Boca Raton, so welcome to Florida as well.
You convinced me, John.
We're going to talk a little bit about Magma and NFTs, Magma and DAOs, and we are going to, well, I'm going to ask him now, talk a little bit about some of the technologies that are behind the Magma platform. I mean, obviously blockchain and that sort of thing, but maybe you could describe a few of the other things that are associated with your, specific to your platform.
I can explain to you how the NFT is the breakdown of the DTT. So what we do, we take of any contract that you have, like you purchase an item in your building, you have a purchase contract, you have a maintenance contract, you have an insurance contract, you have compliance contract, legal documents. So all these contracts, they can be encrypted in a way that we know who are the parties to the contract, what date it was signed, what's the object of the contract. We make an encryption of that and we send it in the blockchain. So it becomes immutable. And if someone wants to know if this building has the 40-year certification, he will see the hash of the 40-year certification. And if he wants to see the actual certification, we can map it down to our server and he can pull it and read it. That's the first layer. And the next, the whole NFT is pretty much like a Russian doll. If you are familiar with Russian dolls, you have, you know, this little one at first, and then a bigger one, and another one, and another one. So the first layer would be the contract. The contract represents an object. This object has properties, height, size, manufacturer, serial number. So this information, we encrypt it into an NFT. So and we link it to the 3D representation of that object. This object is part of a group of objects. It can be in a kitchen, or in a room, or in an apartment. That's a group of objects. And this group of objects is part of the entire building. So every time we have an information, contractual or visual, we encrypt it and we mint the NFT. So that keeps an operational data room. Anyone who wants to purchase the building, for example, will first want to look first at the digital model. Anyone who has a service to provide can also look legal document and also make measurements and see the digital model without having to go on site.
You know, where I see this going, and I may be getting ahead of the conversation a little bit, I see this going is these NFTs, and I think you'll have different NFTs for different purposes.
Yes.
I see eventually that you might have an NFT which encapsulates all the due diligence of the building, where you can use that data so that an investor can come and get that NFT and do his, and the due diligence is there, done already.
Yes.
And perhaps do a transfer of title or do a sale with that NFT.
Yes.
Does that bring any legal issues in terms of a transfer of an NFT? I don't think we're there legally quite yet, especially in terms of title, right,
Yes.
Alex?
So legally, no. Legally, at least I'll speak for US. Legally, there is no current legal framework that would anchor an NFT to an actual conveyance of property. I call it a parallel universe. Mm-hmm. It can happen in a parallel universe where it can have a digital representation, but the legal framework still mandates physical documents, wet signatures. Unfortunately, a lot of it is very archaic and ripe for disruption, which is why, you know, the present conversation. But generally speaking, I think NFTs can also be used as a misnomer, because I think over time NFTs will assume the function and the definition of what we refer to as a PDF today. It's a holder, it's sort of a basket, as Matthieu explained, that has multiple characteristics programmed into it. And nowadays, a lot of those characteristics define authentication, define things that relate to intangible assets more than tangible ones, because there's that lack of legal framework to connect it to. But like I said, I am a believer, and I feel like it's only a matter of time until the legal framework matures. In US, there are some other parts of the world where they're closer to it.
In fact, we're going to conclude this with a forecast of mass adoption, but not at the end of this. Okay, NFTs, they're called the Magma NFTs. And you're contemplating a DAO, decentralized, what's it called?
This autonomous organization.
A DAO. So
DAO,
describe what Magma is going to do, and how they're going to create
a DAO. The DAO is a new corporate structure. You had the LLC and all kinds of legal structure to incorporate a company. A DAO happens in the blockchain and is decentralized. That means there is no central authority. There is no person that can censor or cut the platform or influence the platform. It's managed by its user, like the Bitcoin network or the Ethereum network. The user own and decide the protocol change, upgrades, and features of the platform. So right now, Magma is centralized, and it will be that way for a couple of years, because you first need some centralization to set the rules.
Yes.
And it's such an innovative field that, like you said, the regulatory framework is not there yet. So you cannot decentralize, I think, now. I think it's too early. But the vision is that somehow this organization will belong to its user. We want to decentralize Magma, so later it will belong to the owners, to the asset managers, to the property managers, to the tenants that will own their data, because that's what Web3 is about. You upload information. In our platform, everyone has a wallet, and the wallet makes sure that, first of all, you have access with your private key to encrypted information, and when you upload information, it's yours. That means the owner, of course, owns the information about the building, but the service provider owns information about their service. Like if I am an electrician and I perform my job on time and under budget in 10 buildings, I want the public to be able to contract with me, because I can show my relevance. So that's the DAO. And we have a token, a governance token for the DAO. So that's basically shares of the DAO.
Yeah.
A utility token to pay the services of the platform.
Yeah.
And an access token that gives access to amenities in buildings or services in buildings. And it's a little bit like a reward for tenants or for...
Well, you mentioned something, you sort of answered the question I was going to ask next. The data. Data is king, right?
Yes.
Legally, and I think you mentioned the owner of the building owns the data. So is that a legal aspect of this? The owner owns all the data.
They own the data pertaining to the building, but the service provider are able to show their data pertaining to their service. Like if I have, I'm selling a sink or air conditioners, I can share this data to other building owners. That's my data. But the service I provided in a building is the building owner's data. But if the building owner is okay for me to share this data, then it's
okay. I see this as perhaps a new revenue streams for asset owners who control this data to sell it to investors,
absolutely,
real estate brokerage firms, and so forth.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So
it's
let's
kind
talk.
of dead capital, if you
What's
think
that?
about it. If you think about it, so much of this information today is dead capital as far as the producers,
Totally.
the creators of this information is concerned. And the unique feature of technology, blockchain technology, distributed ledgers, is programmable sovereign ownership. Like Matthieu said, a lot of these data points, a lot of this information is usually contributed for free to centralized companies, which then monetize it. So what the technology allows you to do is now transfer this power, transfer this ownership from the central aggregator to the generator of this information, him or herself, who can then generate rewards from their work as this asset goes through its life cycle.
And that gets back to decentralization and disintermediation of those individuals or brokers who are buying this data and reselling it.
Yes.
So that the owner can actually control that.
And also we contextualize data. That means like data, we say data is like oil, but you cannot use oil when it comes out of the ground. You need to refine it. So what we do, we refine data. That means we contextualize it. Who input the data, where, for what. And so that way another person is going to be able to use that data because it has been contextualized.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
And on the topic of DAOs, while DAOs themselves have not been recognized yet as legal entities, and there's a lot of possible challenges and issues that come with implementing a DAO as a governing sort of mechanism. On the other hand, I think it's brilliant to adopt a notion of a DAO for a project like this, because ultimately it shows that Matthieu and their project, they're not looking to centralize this information. They're looking to create a platform that would then allow them to democratize it. And the best way to do that is to create a community.
Absolutely.
To create a community.
Yeah.
So that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, you know, this conference has all been really about the virtual world, and on the opening day, Monday, was huge on the Metaverse. We're talking about NFTs,
Yes.
the DAO. Now, you will be connecting eventually, and I'll ask you to describe your roadmap too, your phases, but eventually to the Metaverse. And
Yeah.
describe that process of connecting to a Metaverse and what it does for you.
Yeah. So the vision is to create a professional metaverse, per se, or an environment where people can collaborate and see an extension of a real building in the virtual world. We are going to, I can announce that today because it can be official, so it's official today. We are going to partner with Super World, the Metaverse, that they have purchased, they created 64 billion plots in the entire world, in the entire Earth. They divided the Earth in 64 billion plots. And each plot can be sold to anyone, and when someone will buy a property on Magma or will make his digital twin on Magma, they will directly have their plot on Super World. So that means they can showcase their building, and that becomes an extension of their building. So if you have an art gallery on the ground, or a furniture store, or any kind of service that you want to showcase in the Metaverse, you will be able to do so.
Okay, so we're talking about a lot of things, layers, NFTs, Magma NFTs, DAOs, Metaverse. How do you, what's your roadmap for bringing this all out over
Yeah.
the period of time?
So there are a lot of hurdles, of course. It's not an easy an easy voyage. But for instance, there are privacy issues. The blockchain is an open network. So a lot of owners, they don't want all their information to be displayed. There are also question of a visual effect. You need a very low latency. You need video game engines pretty much to showcase a building in real life. So it's going to be gradual. We see this as a vision for the next years, the Metaverse. Right now, we are really building the different levels of the platform.
Okay.
What we've done so far is we built the level 0, the Genesis level, that pertains to the proof of existence and location of the building and conformity of the building in 2 dimensions, with the layouts in 2 dimensions. Now we are creating level 1, 2, 3, 4, each one corresponding to elements of the building. And then later on, we will launch the DAO and then the Metaverse.
Like within the next couple of years?
Within 3 years,
3 years.
What I
3
say,
years
I think
timeframe.
would be,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll be here for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have a few minutes left. I wanted to ask, do we have any real estate practitioners out there? Brokers, agents? What do you do, sir? You're a broker?
No, my background is architecture, and I actually, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah, we were going to segue into that. So, yeah,
Please.
ask the question. We don't have a mic, but yeah, go ahead and ask. We'll replay the question for everybody.
So first of all, thanks for the presentation. So my question is, because like I said, my background is architecture, and based on my understanding, and based on what you described, NFT is something that, as a nature, is unchangeable.
Yes.
It's supposed to be unchangeable. And so, but at least in the United States, I'm not sure about Paris, but in the United States, houses or maybe business spaces, offices, retail spaces are always subject to change. A lot of people expand their houses, a lot of people make renovations and remodelings for.
Oh, look at that. We're going to make you repeat that, but repeat it
That's
quickly.
fine.
Anyway, you're an architect, and your question is about NFT.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, my background is architecture,
Yes.
and I'm very familiar with different processes for residential, for commercial spaces. And my question was, NFT has a nature that is supposed to be unchangeable. However, at least in the United States, I'm not sure about Paris, but in the United States, houses or retail spaces or office spaces, any type of real estate, are always subject to change with like remodeling, expansions.
Yeah.
And when we scan them in 3D as NFT and when we upload it on your platform, so how did you think about like any changes that like a homeowner, for example, make during the years
Yes.
to the house? Is this any
Of course.
possibility for updating that?
Absolutely,
Or
yes.
Yeah.
That's the whole purpose of Magma. We are using existing buildings, but as you said, those buildings are subject to change, and that's the whole purpose of it, is to allow all the participants to upload any change and update the DTT and the objects in the platform. So the DTT is minted every time you want to update it. So every time you agree on a state, you make a contract with someone, you agree, this is what I bought, this is what you did in the building, it's done, yes, we mint it, it's engraved. And so you can update your model as it goes, and it's always the last iteration of it that is minted.
Plus, NFTs are blockchain tokens. They're tokens that live on a blockchain. There's a couple different types of blockchains. Some of them are open permissionless, and some of them are permission blockchains. These are blockchains where the consensus is delegated, and there's authorized nodes that maintain the consensus. So there's different types of maintaining this information. Some of it is immutable because open and permissionless blockchain is immutable, decentralized, and distributed. And some of them is not that immutable, is not that decentralized, and is not that distributed, which resembles more our conventional processes, our conventional recording systems, city halls, and governments.
I always ask this question towards the end of panel sessions, and it kind of relates to the hype we hear about and the speed that all of this innovation is taking place. So I'll ask you both, in reference to virtual twins for real estate, specifically, I guess, which includes NFTs, DAOs, and Metaverse. I hate to use the word mass adoption, but I will. When do you see a mass adoption or a tipping point where, like, architects and real estate brokers and REITs and developers and homeowners will start using this technology? How far down the road do you think that'll be?
Alex?
Well, I think it's in the future, and I think it's going to be gradual. I think two main factors are going to be, one is going to be technology, like Matthieu said. The latency and compute capacity and power are going to permeate the industry, are going to be a continued problem as far as scaling and adoption is concerned. And on the other hand, also cultural. It requires a cultural shift, the same way we shifted at some point from paper to digital, the same way it would require a cultural shift. I think Neil Stephenson, who wrote in '92 the book Snow Crash and coined the term Metaverse, he was the first one to warn people not to take his book literally. He's the one who said, it was just me sitting there making shit up, because the day he wrote the book, there was no internet. There was no World Wide Web as we knew it. Stevenson was thinking of computer screens and how people would interact in these environments. So I think a cultural change is another part of it. Much of it is happening right now in front of our eyes, right? Yep. It was accelerated by the unfortunate pandemic and things like this, but the writing's on the wall. Matthieu.
So the writing's on the wall, how far are we
I think we have two aspects.
Okay.
Technical aspect and economical aspect. The technical aspect is that it's a very difficult technology to understand, to apprehend. First, you have private keys. You have encryption, and the private keys is meant to decrypt those encryption. So that's why you have those private keys. If you lose the private key, you lose your asset. So there is a problem with that for mass adoption. We need backup. We need to be able to back up those private keys, retrieve them if something happened. We need to make them inheritable to the successors. So that's a technical aspect that needs to be solved. We kind of solve it because we create a wallet for our customers, and we are using a provider that doesn't keep the private key of the owner, the entire private key. They only have a part of the private key.
That's great.
And so they don't control the asset of our clients. Things like FTX or issues with platforms like this that will get a hold of the owner of the client's asset will not happen with Magma. That's the first point. And there is an economical aspect. We are entering a completely different economy. We enjoyed several years of growth with low interest rates. For real estate, it was a perfect environment to build, but now we are entering a completely different game where resources are scarce. And it's going to be difficult to generate growth and profits. So we are going to look at limiting the operating cost of buildings. So we are entering a circular economy. We need collaborative tools, and blockchain is one collaborative tool where you are going to save across the board by using a single source of truth. So, for example, if a tenant can record an information in the platform and that avoids the property manager a trip on site, you save gas, you save an assistant that's going to input the information, you save accounting for both parties. So that's how you are going to generate revenues in the future. So blockchain for mass adoption, I think, will happen with this economic environment.
But the
You
biggest
think
driver.
it'll happen next year, 2 years, 5
I
years?
think we are at the shift moment. We are really shifting to that new model.
We're out of time. Did you want to say something?
I think the biggest driver, above all, is going to be commerce, economy and commerce,
Yeah.
and the companies that stand the most to gain out of it.
We're out of time. Matthew and Alexandra will be here all afternoon, morning and afternoon, if you'd like to chat with them, ask questions. And I'd like to mention that at 10:15, we have another FIBREE sponsored session where we're going to look at blockchain use in the real estate industries at the different segments in real estate, which is land registry, title insurance, tokenization. So stick around for the 10:15 session, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.